The third hidden danger is the vulnerability to scams and exploitation, an undercurrent in travel that preys upon confidence, naivete, and visible age. Seniors are often ideal targets, not because they lack intelligence, but because trust is a virtue grown over a lifetime, and unfamiliar environments can blur the line between helpful and harmful. The world is full of well-meaning people, but not all who greet you with a smile have goodwill at heart. Sophisticated scams have evolved far beyond the pickpockets you hear about on travel shows. There are taxi drivers who inflate fares when they hear an accent, hotel concierges who recommend their acquaintances' shops and restaurants for a cut, street hawkers who distract while an accomplice moves in, and even imposter police officers who demand to see your passport and wallet, please, just for a moment. I watched it happen in Rome, where a soft-spoken man in a suit approached an older couple claiming to help them avoid pickpockets in the metro, only to dip into their bag himself. The couple was left confused, embarrassed, and short several €100, their dream vacation forever soured. Older adults may simply radiate trust, patience, and approachability, qualities to cherish, but on the road, they can also mean you're targeted, not because you're weak, but because you're assumed to be less likely to question or notice trickery before it's too late. With age, too, comes the fourth unseen danger, the difficulty of accessing emergency medical care abroad. In our home countries, medical routines are settled. You know your doctor, your pharmacy, the local ER. But overseas, that safety net disappears. A minor fall, a sudden fever, or a flare-up of chronic illness becomes a race against language, logistics, and, most dangerously, time. In some countries, ambulances aren't guaranteed. Hospitals might be an hour's journey or more, and the standard of care varies dramatically. While travel insurance sounds like a reassuring shield, its fine print can become a trap. Pre-existing conditions, exclusions for adventure activities, which can be as basic as climbing stairs, caps on certain types of treatment. I have seen, more than once, an active, independent traveler incapacitated by something as simple as food poisoning, lost in translation between doctors, insurance hotlines, and family back home, their adventure paused in a hospital ward that cannot reach their primary physician or access their medical history. All the while, every test, every day of care ticks up unforeseen costs. In many cases, you may be too ill to advocate for yourself. Imagine a moment of fear, a racing heart, shortness of breath, a stroke or heart attack, striking when no one in the room shares your language or knows your history. This isn't said to scare, but to awaken. Your access to healthcare, so familiar at home, becomes a fragile privilege once you cross the border. Finally, consider the fifth and perhaps most underestimated danger: social and emotional isolation. It's painted over in the travel brochures, you smiling with ice cream by the Seine. But for many older travelers, being far from home can become isolating in ways you never expected. Small social cues, shared language, familiar gestures, the comfort of knowing where you are suddenly disappear. Even if you're traveling with a partner or on a group tour, moments arise when loneliness creeps in. Sitting in a hotel room after a long day, navigating public transport with unfamiliar signs, standing at a restaurant counter unable to decipher the menu, missing birthdays, anniversaries, or simply the voices of loved ones. It's a slow burn, one quiet, uncertain moment after another, until the emotional toll becomes clear. For some, the excitement of new experiences battles with a deepening sense of loss or fear. If illness or misadventure strikes, that loneliness multiplies. It can be humbling, even overwhelming, to realize how quickly one can feel invisible in a busy city or lost in a rural village. In those moments, the golden years promise can feel like a burden you hadn't expected to shoulder alone. But recognizing these dangers is not about abandoning your travel dreams. It's about walking into the world, not with fear, but with clear eyes and preparation. It's about trading in the illusion of ageless adventure for a savvy, self-respecting embrace of reality, where every adventure doubles as a victory of planning, practicality, and self-knowledge. Want to travel after 70? You can, you should. But start by having an honest conversation with your doctor. Not just a quick, "Am I okay to travel?" but a real evaluation. Are your medications travel-friendly? Can your heart, your joints, and your stamina realistically handle that cobblestone street, that overnight train, that humid climb up ancient steps? Don't rely on your own feeling of wellness at home. Stress, jet lag, heat, and altitude are greater challenges than you may realize. Get your medication plan in writing, detailing the names, doses, and time zones, with translations as necessary. Bring twice what you need, stored in different places. Don't assume you'll find a pharmacy just like at home, or that you'll have Google Translate when you need it most. Talk to your insurance provider. Know exactly what is and isn't covered, and bring emergency contacts, translated medical histories, and copies of key documents. Stay vigilant, not cynical. Learn the most common scams in every city you'll visit. Trust your intuition. If something feels off, step away. Stay connected. Have a daily check-in with someone back home. Don't be afraid to ask for help, but use official channels whenever possible. Hotel clerks, tour company representatives, embassy staff. Finally, be kind to yourself if you feel overwhelmed or homesick. It's okay to take a break, to rest, to acknowledge fear or sadness. Traveling in your 70s is not about keeping up with anyone else's pace or expectations. It's about savoring each moment, thoughtfully, bravely, and wisely, knowing you're making memories that matter. So before you zip up your suitcase, pause. Reflect not just on the freedom you've earned, but the responsibility that comes with it. The world is vast, beautiful, and yes, demanding, especially as the years go by. But with honesty, preparation, and humility, you can embrace those golden years, not just hoping for adventure, but equipped to truly enjoy it. And isn't that the real journey you've waited for all your life? Travel in our later years brings with it a richness of experience that is hard to match. New cities, fascinating cultures, delicious foods, and the thrill of adventure. Yet behind every postcard perfect moment, there are hidden risks that too often go unspoken. For senior travelers, these risks are neither hypothetical nor dramatic. They are real, subtle, and potentially life-changing. It's important to face these truths not out of fear, but out of respect for the journey and oneself. The reality is, vulnerability comes in many forms. Physical frailty and unfamiliar surroundings make even seasoned globetrotters more susceptible to the intentions of others. Elderly travelers often radiate a trusting demeanor, which makes them attractive targets for people with malicious motives. Scammers see opportunity in those unfamiliar with new tech or distracted by the logistics of travel. The world, for all its wonders, has its shadows, and among them lurk those who would exploit a single moment of inattention. Consider the story of the trusting traveler who, in the blink of an eye, hands over a passport or a credit card, believing only in the goodness of the stranger offering help. In today's interconnected world, That pause in judgment can open the floodgates to identity theft, financial loss, and even isolation far from home. Older travelers may not think to use two-factor authentication, encrypted apps, or private Wi-Fi networks in cafes and airports. Instead, they may rely on what they know: physical paperwork, printed tickets, simple passwords. These are valuable, yes, but they're also vulnerable. The simple act of letting someone glance at your boarding pass or jot down a phone number can have disastrous consequences. But let's be clear, the dangers extend beyond the material. There is a loneliness that can set in like a fog, even in the busiest of places. Travel has always been as much about connection as it is about movement. Yet for many seniors, that connection isn't guaranteed. Those moments when a group surges ahead, leaving the slower walker behind, or when polite conversation at dinner never quite becomes genuine friendship, those stick with you. There's an ache beneath the surface, a feeling of being on the outside, even as you participate. When illness or confusion strikes, those feelings only amplify. Swallowing discomfort to avoid being a burden, suffering in silence, hoping no one notices, loneliness compounds and the risks grow. Perhaps the most hidden danger, though, is purely emotional. The ache of survival in a world filled with memories. The past seems to echo with every step, a shared laugh, an old favorite spot, reminders of companions now gone. To travel alone after a life spent with loved ones is an act of courage, but also an act of mourning. It means confronting not just the world, but the self, beneath the layers of daily routine. That empty chair beside you on the tour bus, that half-remembered melody playing in a cafe can stir unexpected grief. This is a burden few take into account as they plan their journeys. Before you embark again, it's worth taking inventory beyond the obvious. Think carefully. What precautions have you taken to protect not just your belongings, but your peace of mind? Who knows your travel plans? Who will check in if they don't hear from you? Are you prepared to advocate for yourself should confusion or fatigue overwhelm you in a strange place? Are you ready to face your own heart amid the wonder and the unknown? Travel after 70 is indeed a privilege and also a profound test of awareness, resilience, and openness to change. The suitcase should carry more than clothes. It should carry wisdom, humility, and healthy caution. The world awaits, with its brilliance and its shadows. Take your courage, and above all, take your wisdom. For it is your greatest safeguard and your surest guide, wherever the road may lead.